What if Tanjiro had a Bankai? So, you guys voted for this in my post, so make sure to check out the post if you guys want to vote for my next video. And I gotta explain a couple things before we even start, because I want to make sure this Bankai system actually fits inside Demon Slayer without breaking the story completely. So first off, in Bleach, to even get a Shikai, or a Bankai, you need a Zanpakuto, a sword that has its own spirit or personality inside it. Demon Slayer obviously doesn't have that. So what we're going to do here is basically turn a Nichiren blade into a Zanpakuto-style weapon, but without an actual spirit inside of it. Instead, the awakening is going to come from the user's breathing style and emotions. So here's how we're setting it up. Shikai equals breathing style. Activation. You guys already know that in Demon Slayer, the flames, water, wind, lightning, all that stuff isn't really real. It's just visual effects. But with Shikai, I want all of that to become real elemental attacks. So, water breathing will actually make real water slice out. Flame breathing will make real fire. Wind will create actual wind pressure. Sun breathing will create the real flames and heat it's supposed to. Basically, Shikai equals turning all breathing style visuals into real elemental attacks that function like Bleach's Shikai abilities. Bankai equals extreme survival / near-death awakening. For the Bankai, we're doing it Demon Slayer style. Instead of inner spirits like in Bleach, we're gonna base it on life or death moments. Extreme emotional stress moments, similar to unlocking a Demon Slayer mark. So anytime Tanjiro hits a breaking point, mentally or physically, that's when his Bankai would awaken. So let's get right into this. Tanjiro goes to sell coal, and on his way back up the mountain, the old man tells him, "There's demons roaming around at night. Stay with me." So Tanjiro stays there overnight, comes back in the morning, and finds his whole family dead, except Nezuko, who's turning into a demon. Tanjiro tries to get help, and ends up running into Giyu. They fight, and after that, Giyu tells him to go train under Urokodaki and learn water breathing. Now Tanjiro never really knew about demon slayers or anything like that, so seeing Urokodaki actually produce real water with his breathing style shocks him. And I'll give you guys a quick backstory here. Some people say the demon slayer mark awakened because of Muzan's curse. So demon slayers get this kind of side effect where they can produce elemental attacks through their Nichiren blade, but they can only do it through the blade. They can't shoot flames or water out of their hands. So Tanjiro trains in water breathing, does the boulder training, all of that. Then comes final selection. Everything basically happens the same as the original timeline, just with Tanjiro constantly producing real water with his forms. After final selection, everything continues the same, all the way until Rui's Mountain. He already met Zenitsu and Inosuke in the Drum Demon Mansion, so now Inosuke and Tanjiro go up the mountain while Zenitsu stays behind, scared like usual. Tanjiro and Inosuke help the other demon slayers, take down the two demons, and then Tanjiro gets blasted into Rui's area. Nezuko is being tortured. Tanjiro tries to fight Rui, and this is where he unlocks sun breathing, the hottest and strongest flame in the series. Sun breathing produces hotter flames than flame breathing itself, so when you combine it with Nezuko's blood demon art, they're able to burn through Rui's tricks. They cut off Rui's head, but Rui's cheap trick with the string neck still happens, so Giyu finishes him off. Everything plays out the same after that. Then we go to the Hashira meeting. They all question why Tanjiro is traveling with a demon, but Urokodaki and Giyu vouch for him, so he gets let go. Now we move to the Muggen train arc, where they go hoping Rengoku might know something. Everything plays out the same, until Upper Moon 3 appears. This is where things change. Tanjiro is in a high-stress situation, and I still haven't fully talked about how the Bankai works, but both Tanjiro and Rengoku unlock their Bankai during this moment. It's the same idea as Bleach. You unlock Bankai in extreme pressure or life or death situations. Their Bankai works like this. They get a full layer of armor, kind of like Asta's anti-magic armor in Black Clover, but themed around their element. They can use the real breathing style with their Bankai and fully control their elemental attacks. So for example, Rengoku can literally control his flame tiger instead of just swinging it. With Bankai active, one Hashira becomes strong enough to take on an Upper Moon alone. Akaza gets pushed back hard, and there are only two real ways to kill Akaza. Selfless state, overwhelming raw power. This time, Tanjiro and Rengoku have so much raw power, thanks to sun breathing and flame breathing in Bankai form, that Akaza gets overwhelmed. Tanjiro doesn't have the 13th form yet because he hasn't seen Yorichi's memories, so he can't fully master sun breathing, but he still has Bankai armor and elemental control, which is already insane. Rengoku has Bankai flame tiger. Tanjiro has Bankai sun armor. Together, they completely destroy Akaza. Inosuke doesn't unlock Bankai here, and Zenitsu is knocked out because of the train, so it's all Tanjiro and Rengoku. And in this timeline, they defeat Akaza. With Rengoku surviving this time, Tanjiro doesn't go into that sad era like the original timeline. Nobody is depressed, so they all start working out right away. And since almost none of them are hurt like before, they train, hunt demons, and get way stronger. Tanjiro starts working on his Bankai, but he still can't unlock his full elemental form yet. Rengoku has his Flame Tiger, Water Breathing has the Water Dragon, but Tanjiro's Sun Dragon won't show up until the final battle when he gets Yorichi's memories. So right now, he's mainly working on controlling his breathing style, improving his attacks, and figuring out how to use Bankai longer and make it stronger. Inosuke is obviously jealous that Tanjiro unlocked his Bankai first. Zenitsu doesn't really care. Now we move into the Entertainment District arc. Dialogue stays the same. Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke go with Tengen instead of the three girls. They dress up as girls, start investigating, and eventually find Daki. I'm starting at the moment where Tanjiro's eyes start bleeding versus Daki, while Tengen, Inosuke, and Zenitsu are fighting the belt half of Daki underground. Since Tanjiro has Bankai and real elemental flames, Daki's belts can't handle the heat at all. She's never seen sun-breathing flames before, and these are the hottest flames she's ever touched. Her belts literally start burning, letting Tanjiro get closer. This time, he actually cuts off her head solo without needing help. That triggers Gyutaro showing up early, and Tanjiro is still way too weak for Gyutaro in base form, so he immediately activates his Bankai, gets his armor, and tries to fight back. Even then, he still gets pushed around until Tengen, Zenitsu, and Inosuke return. Inosuke and Zenitsu take Daki. Tengen and Tanjiro fight Gyutaro. Tengen activates his Bankai too, which is super cool, but he doesn't have a big signature animal or attack like the others. His is mainly sound wave armor, mixed with air blasts similar to wind breathing, because sound breathing is based off thunder breathing, which is based off wind breathing. So Tengen uses these shockwaves and sound pressure to keep Gyutaro back, while his armor absorbs damage. This time, the Demon Slayers are almost on par with Upper Moons, because they have Shikai and Bankai, so the gap isn't as crazy as the original. Tengen does not lose an arm since he has armor now. He and Tanjiro rush Gyutaro and kill him quicker. Now the Daki fight. Inosuke still gets stabbed through the chest with the sickle, but instead of dying, the shock awakens his Bankai. Zenitsu, trapped under the rubble, unlocks his Bankai too. Zenitsu gets lightning armor. He doesn't have an animal spirit, since thunder breathing doesn't branch like that. Inosuke does get an animal, because he invented beast breathing himself, learning it from growing up with boars. His Bankai animal is a boar, and instead of flames or lightning, his boar spirit is like a wind beast hybrid, fast air pressure attacks, and wild movement. Together, Inosuke and Zenitsu kill Daki the same way as the original timeline, just faster and cleaner. I hope this doesn't sound too far-fetched, but I'm trying to keep it fun and hype. Nezuko still heals Tengen, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, and instead of Tanjiro being in a 3-month coma, he instantly goes right back into training since he never got skewered by Gyutaro's sickle thanks to his Bankai armor and Tengen jumping in. Now, with all that done, Tanjiro trains a lot on his Bankai. He's working on timing it better, making the armor stronger, and controlling the elemental flames. But his new swords aren't ready yet, so he heads to the Swordsmith Village, and we start the Swordsmith Village arc. Most of the dialogue stays the same. He meets Mitsuri, meets Muichiro, meets Genya, all that. I'm going to jump right to the part where Muichiro clamps Tanjiro's nose to wake him up. Then Upper Moon 4 attacks. This time, the fight starts basically the same, except Tanjiro's flame output is actually dangerous to Hantengu's clones, because sun-breathing flames are the hottest flames in the series. Muichiro still gets blasted away like the original, because he's not activating his Bankai right away. He's pacing himself, so he still gets caught and launched out of the building. So Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya fight the emotion clones. Tanjiro's flames destroy a ton of their wood attacks instantly, but since the clones regenerate fast, it's still a rough fight. Nezuko and Genya help exactly like before. Now, Muichiro vs Gyoko, Upper Moon 5, goes way differently, because in this timeline, mist breathing actually creates mist. Muichiro's whole fighting style becomes way stronger. He's basically invisible in the mist, dodging fish demons, blocking Gyoko's attacks, but his sword still sucks. That crappy blade slows him down. Because of that, he never gets trapped in the water prison this time. He stays out of it, and then when he gets the new blade from Kosoka Namori, that's when he unlocks his Demon Slayer mark. With Bankai and actual mist being produced, he destroys Gyoko even faster than before. Meanwhile, we go back to Tanjiro versus Upper Moon 4's clones. Genya, Nezuko, and Tanjiro head for the main body same as the original. Mitsuri arrives and instantly pops her Bankai because she sees the massive fused emotion demon. Love breathing doesn't have a spirit animal, but as a flame breathing derivative, it has heat properties, so her Bankai armor glows with hot pink flame energy. With that 10 times stat boost, she pushes pushes the emotion demon way harder than the original timeline. While Mitsuri holds off the big form clone, Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya chase down the real Hantengu. Everything plays out the same. Tanjiro loses his sword. Muichiro throws his new one. It lands in front of Tanjiro. He grabs it, channels all his breathing into it, and finally cuts off the main body's head, killing Upper Moon 4. Nezuko still survives the sunlight and becomes immune. And now that the Swordsmith Village arc is done, we enter the Hashira training arc. Let's get right into that. Now, after learning what the Demon Slayer mark really is, and how it basically curses them to die at age 25, a lot of the Hashira start thinking differently. People like Sanemi and Obanai would want the mark because they're battle maniacs, but with Bankai and Shikai now in the story, the mark honestly isn't needed as much anymore. Bankai gives them a bigger boost than the mark ever could, and Shikai already lets them use real elements. So instead, the Hashira start focusing on training more people to reach Shikai level. Because if you think about it, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tanjiro are prodigies. They're rare. Most Demon Slayers can't even produce full elemental breathing effects. Remember that random Demon Slayer from Rui's Mountain that used water breathing? He barely made a sprinkle of water. That's the normal level for Demon Slayers. Most of them can't produce a full water dragon or wind attacks like Gyu or Sanemi can. So the Hashira's new goal is helping more Demon Slayers unlock Shikai, since Bankai is still too advanced. So the training arc goes basically the same. Tanjiro trains with his Bankai, Zenitsu trains with his lightning armor Bankai, and Inosuke trains with his boar-based Bankai. They all get way stronger. Then we get to the moment Muzan attacks the Ubuyashiki family, and the explosion sends everyone into the Infinity Castle. Now let's go over the matchups. Most of the stuff in the Infinity Castle plays out the same. But remember, we killed off Akaza early on, so Akaza isn't there anymore. That means we can split up Gyu and Tanjiro this time. Tanjiro is going to the Upper Moon 1 fight, and Gyu goes to the Upper Moon 2 fight to help Shinobu. And since Demon Slayers now have Bankai, like I said earlier, one Hashira with Bankai is basically equal to an upper rank demon. They're way stronger than in the original timeline. So let me break down all the fights quickly. Side battles first, Kaigaku versus Zenitsu. This fight plays out almost exactly the same, but since Kaigaku was a demon slayer, he has demon abilities too. Still, Zenitsu popping his Bankai makes the fight one-sided. He definitely can't handle Zenitsu's Bankai now. Zenitsu kills him clean, barely gets hurt. Yushiro, Mitsuri, and Obanai versus Nakime. Same outcome as original. Yushiro takes over Nakime, Mitsuri and Obanai help him control the Infinity Castle. Nothing major changes there. Upper Moon 2, Doma versus Gyu, Rengoku, Shinobu, Kanao, Inosuke, Shinobu is insanely stronger now with Bankai. With the 10 times stat boost, she's strong enough to actually cut off demon heads, so she carries 2 blades in this timeline. The moment she meets Doma, she instantly activates her Bankai and goes all in. When Gyu joins, it's basically over. In the original timeline, Shinobu said it takes 3 Hashira minimum to beat Doma. Here, you have Bankai Gyu Bankai, Shinobu Bankai Kanao Bankai Inosuke. Doma isn't escaping. He gets absolutely overwhelmed. This fight is a stomp compared to the original. Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo versus Tanjiro, Gyomei, Sanemi, Muichiro, Genya. Now the interesting one, because demons can also use Bankai in this AU, Kokushibo has a Bankai too. On top of Blood Demon Art Crescent Blades, he's stacked. But the big difference is, Tanjiro is here, and so is everyone else with Bankai activated. Muichiro doesn't die here, because with his armor style Bankai, Kokushibo can't pierce his body like in canon. Tanjiro's Bankai plus sun breathing gives Kokushibo huge problems. Gyomei's Bankai gives him raw power, far past his original self. Sanemi popping Bankai makes him even faster and deadlier. And Genya still eats Kokushibo's flesh to gain his Blood Demon Art bullets. All 5 of them together overwhelm Kokushibo. His head gets cut off just like usual. He sees his brother's memories, regrets everything, and dies peacefully. Aftermath. Before sunrise countdown, Muzan realizes Yushiro has taken control of Infinity Castle. So Muzan kills Nakime like in canon, and Yushiro evacuates all demon slayers out of the castle for the final battle in the sunrise countdown arc. So, instead of Tanjiro being half dead at the start of the Sunrise Countdown arc, like in the original timeline, he's actually in perfect shape here. And the same goes for all the Hashira. Muichiro survived, Shinobu survived, Genya survived. Everyone is alive going into the final battle, and they all have their Bankai ready. Now this fight is completely different, because Muzan is getting absolutely overwhelmed. Every Hashira has Bankai and their full breathing styles activated, so Muzan is basically getting jumped by an entire squad of upper rank level fighters. And when you add in the drug that slows him down and weakens him, Muzan starts losing more and more ground. Every time Muzan tries going for a kill, their Bankai armor blocks his attacks. He can't slice their limbs off. He can't instantly kill anybody. Even that massive explosion he used in the original timeline, it barely phases anyone here because they're all fully armored up with Bankai. Tanjiro, during all this, starts getting his Yoriichi flashbacks, and now that he's finally strong enough, he figures out the real secret behind sun breathing, the true 13th form. With that, Tanjiro can finally control the full Fire Sun Dragon, and he fully awakens his complete Bankai form. With the Hashira holding Muzan down, and Tanjiro mastering the Sun Dragon, they push Muzan all the way back. They drag him out into the sunlight, and Tanjiro finishes him off for good. And this timeline actually ends with a real happy ending. Shinobu and Giyu get together, and Shinobu survives. Muichiro lives past 14, and his bloodline continues. Mitsuri and Obanai both survive and end up together. Tanjiro and Kanao start their own family, and because so many of them didn't rely on the Demon Slayer mark, most of them survive past 25 instead of dying young. So, yeah, this is probably the happiest ending I've ever made for a Demon Slayer timeline. And if you guys want something even crazier, click on this video right here to see what if Tanjiro had a leveling power system. It's one of the craziest timelines I ever made.